So in today's video, I'm basically going to be going over whether or not you should bring a car to campus, specifically freshman year, and I'm also going to go over my experiences having it and not having it later on. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. How's your day today? I hope it's going good. If not, I hope it gets better. So yeah, I'm going to cover some pros and cons, freshman year, worth bringing it or not, some costs, and if you really need it. I'm just going to start off with the fact that when I came my freshman year, I was dropped off and I did not bring a car, but I didn't feel like I missed out on anything or I really needed this car, especially during freshman year because I lived in dorms. Everything I needed was on campus, all the dining places, the housing, laundry was there as well. Campus was main campus was about 10-15 minute walk to the closest part, to the middle, and basically where most of my classes were. Some classes were a little bit farther and those are 15 minutes more, but really I didn't feel like I missed out on anything. There were a ton of events, and there's a ton of events, especially for freshmen. I went to those to hang out or whatever. All my friends and I would go to those. There were a lot of events on campus, so it's not like I was without anything to do on a Friday night or a Saturday night or anything like that. You could even work on campus unless you have a different idea of work, like you're trying to be a server, make different money or whatever, and you need to go off campus. That's a situation where you would probably, get a car. If you are constantly traveling home, which I did not travel home too often because the semester gets a lot busier than you think. I don't know, maybe it could work out for you. Maybe you end up going home a lot more, but unless you're driving yourself home every weekend, every other weekend, or pretty often, I would say car isn't really necessary. I live in Connecticut. Rochester's up here in upstate New York, and there is this program for colleges called My Bus Home. Now, I know it's also available for several other colleges, but for RIT, I remember I was able to get one, or a bus came here and it would drive us to a few different locations, White Plains being one of them. So if you live in Connecticut, White Plains is one of the options depending where you are, and then my parents would come pick me up and bring me to our town. So that was one option, especially for the big breaks like fall break, Thanksgiving, I think even for winter break bus, but that was an option. Same thing for spring break. They had dedicated times and it was a pretty long travel. I think it took 8 hours, which doesn't normally happen in a car ride, but the option is there. And you did have to pay, I believe. You had to pay ahead of time, so you had to pay attention to reservation dates and all that. But it wasn't too much of a hassle. Plus, it was something college specific, so your parents knew that you were safe and all of that. Now, another thing, if I had friends who lived off campus, they would give me a ride to their place, and not just me, but my other friends who didn't have cars. And if I really, really needed to go off campus, my roommate had a car. I remember that one time my phone broke and it wasn't really usable, so I had to bring it to this repair place to get it fixed up, and she was available to give me a ride. She didn't really mind. You do have to pay for that parking lot space. So if you end up not really using your car and you just have it sitting there, I feel like that's kind of a waste of money. Unless you're gonna come in and out with your car and make good use of it, you're kind of just paying for your car to be sat there. At least that's my way of thinking on that. Onto my sophomore year, I still didn't have a car, but I technically still lived on campus. In Perkins Apartments, that's where I lived. You guys might have seen some of these videos when I lived there, but essentially that apartment is just a little bit past dorms, and they also have their own parking. You have to pay for the parking permit in those apartments, but then you can't get another parking permit to park on campus because technically you're still living on campus, so you can only pay for one or the other, but you have to pay for Perkins because you live there. So if you want to pay for on-campus parking and you park in the apartments, you're going to end up getting a ticket if the parking people come around. It's so annoying. But going back to this comment, which initially sparked this video, there are buses that go around campus. Now, I believe there is a bus reactivated that goes around the whole loop of campus. So there's 2 bus stops, one on the front of campus and one in the back of campus. And those buses, or certain ones at least, go to Perkins, go to Park Point, go to Apex, go to, there's one more, which I am forgetting right, Jefferson? Jefferson housing? I'm forgetting exactly what the housing is called, but these are the ones that are a little bit further away from campus and take longer to walk to campus from. So there are buses that go there, and depending on how far it is, it's usually about every 20 to 30 minutes that the bus comes around to. So there is that. Now, it isn't the most on the dot reliable method of transportation for the nearby apartments, but it is pretty consistent. And after certain times, though, the schedule does change. There are different bus routes. Some bus routes combine. So for the 4 apartments that I just mentioned, there's a bus route that combines, so you have to go the whole loop, or you can walk. But sometimes in the winter, you don't really want to walk through a storm or the freezing cold. It's not the worst thing ever. But yeah. There is a bus that goes off campus as well. It hits Walmart and the Wegmans Plaza. I believe those are the 2 big plaza areas that it stops at. There's a few different bus stops, like there's 2 stops at Walmart, and I believe there's 2 stops for Wegmans. But other than that, it passes a few other plazas, but it won't stop there. That one also takes about 45 minutes to come back around. So that's something that if you guys want to get groceries, you could plan around. That bus only stops at Magic. It only stops at 1 stop on campus. So if you live in the apartments, you're gonna have to take the apartment bus to campus, take that off campus to off campus, and come back around that way. Oh, I do have one story. Oh my gosh, this was when I lived in Perkins. One of the rules that parents always tell you is never hop in a stranger's car. Well, I hopped in a stranger's car because I really needed to. And I had gone to Walmart. I had I think 2 bags of groceries in my backpack or whatever. And I didn't realize that the bus to get to this apartments where I was living stopped and ended for the night. So always pay attention to that. And when I got back to campus, I remember I was waiting and waiting, and I was like, what the heck? Why isn't the bus coming around? It should have come around already. And then I go check my phone and I realized, oh, there's no bus anymore. So I'm gonna have to walk all the way back to my apartment. And mind you, I'm not the fastest walker ever. So that was gonna take a hot minute. And the person next to me, they also realized that, and they called their friend up to come give them a ride. I think it was their roommate or just a friend, I don't remember exactly. And then they offered me a ride. They ended up dropping me off at my apartment. Totally safe and sound. But don't be like me, don't do that. Maybe not everyone is gonna be nice. Yeah, thank you to that person who did me that favor, by the way. So many details, so many stories. Now for junior year, I lived in the same apartments, but this time I had a car. I should have gotten a parking pass, and ironically enough, right at the second to last week of the semester, I got my first ticket, and I was like, bro, I could have gone the whole semester without getting a ticket if I had just left a little early that day. I went the whole semester without getting a ticket. This is another thing that really changed for me, was grocery shopping. So the year before that, when I didn't have my car, grocery shopping was a little harder. I got a bike, and I would bike to a plaza nearby where they had a Price Right and a dollar store. So sometimes I would take my bike and go shopping. It would be a little hard. But now this year I had my car, so I was able to go shopping even as far as Walmart, Wegmans, which is kind of far when you're biking. The area around RIT isn't necessarily walkable. Everything's pretty far, and a car makes things way more convenient. Now that I had my car, I was able to go out, do groceries, go out shopping when I wanted to, clothing stores, to the mall or whatever, at my ease, which was nice. And if I did stay out late to let's say Walmart, I was able to get back home and not have to wait for a bus or wait for a stranger to give me a ride. So that was good. The thing about this car that was also convenient was for my club. I was the president of the LASA club, and it helped a lot with going to buy things for the club, for transporting them around campus for events and things like that. It was nice to give my friends a ride, but people will ask you for a ride all the time. Now, while I didn't really mind, if you do mind, keep that in mind, because your friends will ask you for a ride. Many people still won't have a car. You're gonna be the upperclassman with a car. So if you are okay with dealing with that, totally. I know I was. I hated when I didn't have a car freshman year and my friends gave me a ride. I appreciated them like crazy. So I returned the favor to other people. Keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. It was also fun to have the car because I could go on late night drives with some friends. I could stay out a little later, take myself home when I wanted, not have to rely on Uber or other friends or anything like that. And as for Uber, I did Uber during freshman and sophomore year when I didn't have a car. it wasn't that bad. And if it was to parties or something, we would all carpool and split the cost. So it wasn't anything crazy or anything to be super worried about always having to take Ubers and whatnot. Now, as for senior year, having my car my senior year, now that I live off campus, I feel like is kind of a necessary thing. Some people don't have a car while living off campus and they have to rely on other people or Ubers, or they get like electric vehicles, electric scooter per se. But those things also get expensive. I had a roommate whose electric scooter got stolen, so there's also that. Rochester isn't always the greatest and safest city, just to let y'all know. So a car is definitely helpful. Yeah, I guess there's not much to say there, except for, once again, you have to buy the parking permit for general parking. If you want to do reserve, that's a little more expensive. You know, you gotta pay gas and all that. Gas, you're living a little further, whatever. Same like last year. Benefits are awesome. You know, grocery shopping, you get to go anywhere. You get to go when you want to go, and yeah. Anyways, those are my pros and cons. I feel like freshman year, you don't really need a car. I feel like you can do fine without a car. If you live off campus, I feel like having a car is a pretty big necessity and convenience. I hope that answers y'all's question. If you guys have more questions, leave them in the comments. I'll try and make more videos, or just answer your question in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe for future videos, and have a good day, everybody.